Here we go, though. Round 3. The Seahawks have not fared well against the 49ers this year. They are 9.5-point underdogs. It's moved a little bit in Seattle's direction. It was 10 at one point. I think the formula is simple. Executing it, Charean, is a different story. But the Seahawks need to sell out and stop the run and force Brock Purdy to beat them. Let's see if Brock Purdy can step up in the moment. And if he does, oh well, it was fun while it lasted. If he doesn't, that's the only way the Seahawks have a chance to get past the 49ers and pull off what would be a tremendous upset if the Seahawks can swing it.
Well, one of us, like last year, you picked the Bengals not to make the postseason. I picked the Seahawks not to make the postseason and thought they'd be, I think I said, one of the worst teams in the NFL this season. That, of course, did not happen thanks to Pro Bowler Geno Smith, who in his 10th year will make his first playoff start. So they've already exceeded, obviously, my expectation. I think, Mike, what this says to me, and you've always pointed out, and you did it when we were having this conversation about the Seahawks, is it's coaching and how important coaching is. And I think we go back to Sean Payton and maybe Jim Harbaugh as these teams are looking at coaches. Like, what do you give up in draft pick compensation and money? How valuable is that coach? And I think you see it with Pete Carroll. I think you see how important coaching is to get you to the postseason with Geno Smith as your quarterback, with a team of lesser talent, with some young guys like Kenneth Walker contributing for you and big contributors for you. Tariq Woolen is another one who's really contributed for them. But I do think coaching is so important, especially to get you to the postseason. But then once you are in the postseason, it is very, very, very valuable. And so I credit Pete Carroll with what he was able to do with this roster this season. And regardless, in my mind, whatever they do against the 49ers, I think they've had a great season, and I think it's a step in the right direction. And then I think the question becomes, do you draft a quarterback with that high pick?
This is a house money game for the Seattle Seahawks, and it is the ultimate in no pressure, no expectation. And I say this all the time. This goes back to, I think the light first flickered for me. It probably did a long time ago, but at least in the age of writing about, talking about, thinking about football all the time, it was the Cabo game. The Cowboys is the 1 seed in 2007. Yeah. The Giants roll into town in the divisional round and beat them. You don't want to face a divisional opponent in the playoffs at any time, especially at home. The pressure's on you. They come in there every year. They're not intimidated by it. I remember back in 94 when the Vikings made the playoffs and the Bears came to town as the wild card and kicked the crap out of the Vikings, even though, if I recall correctly, and there's a chance I don't, the Vikings had swept the Bears that year. So you just don't want that. And we've seen it time and again. They say it's hard to beat a team 3 times in the same year. Well, those first 2 games don't matter. What matters is the playoffs. And the first 2 games are pretty damn instructive on how much better one team is than the other. But in 60 minutes of football on one afternoon with everything riding on it, that's the challenge. 49ers had a special season. That special season is going to be put on the line on Saturday against a team that gives no Fs about it and would love. It's just like what happened Sunday night. The Lions went in and derailed the Packers' playoff chance, and they loved it. The Seahawks would love nothing more, because they know they're not making it to the Super Bowl. They'd love nothing more than to derail the 49ers. That's the icing on the cake. That's another team like the Lions that will be happy with the outcome of the season, even if they don't win the Super Bowl, if the Seahawks can pull off this victory. I don't think they physically are capable of doing it from a talent standpoint, but coaching matters, as you said. And if they can slow down the run just enough to make Brock Purdy have to win the game, that's where they're going to have an opportunity to maybe keep it close, and who knows, maybe get lucky and steal it. What a lightning bolt that would be, because that's the first game of the Super Wild Card round. And if the Seahawks would take them out, holy crap. And you know what else it does? My son and I have been debating this, because he doesn't want me to think about any future matchups for the Vikings. He just wants to worry about the Vikings beating the Giants. He's all in, but he's nervous about the Giants. That's all. That's what the only focus should be. Don't talk about any other games. I'll tell you this. If the Seahawks would do the unthinkable and knock off the 49ers, that gives the Vikings a different vibe. Because then the Vikings aren't looking at, okay, If we beat the Giants, what happens next? Oh, God, we go back to Levi Stadium and get stomped by the 49ers. No, thank you. No, the difference is, oh, wait a minute. Now we got 2 home games, not 1. Now, different vibe. Now, it would probably be Tom Brady coming to town or the Cowboys. Good luck with that. But still, it's different than this tall task of going back to San Francisco and having what happened 3 years ago. So it's a great game to have right out of the gates. And yes, it's easy to say the 49ers are the better team, and they are. But that doesn't mean the Seahawks have no chance to win. I'd put it at about 20%. And you know what? If I'm picking up 1 out of 5 cards, I don't feel that bad about my shot at picking up the right card. I think 1 in 5 is manageable. And maybe the Seahawks do get lucky, Charean.
Well, Mike, I meant to look this up, but I meant to ask the NFL this question. Every single matchup we have this weekend, these teams played in the regular season. Some of them are division opponents, as this game is, and others are just they played in the regular season. So it's pretty interesting that all these teams have played in the regular season. So they won't be new matchups for this year, but the Seahawks have struggled against the 40 in the 2 games. Their big players have struggled. Geno Smith in the 2 games against the 49ers, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and took 5 sacks. The only touchdown they scored in those 2 games, offensive touchdown, they scored in those 2 games, came late in the 4th quarter of that second game, so last month. So they have struggled against the 49ers, but when you have a team like that, Mike, that has this knowledge that they've struggled against the 49ers in 2 games this year, they're going to be loose and they are going to be aggressive and they're going to do things that you wouldn't normally probably see a playoff team do. They're probably going to go for it some on 4th down, maybe more than they otherwise would, in different positions on the field than they otherwise would, and you're probably going to see some trick plays. They know it's going to take something special to win. They can't just go out and play their normal game and expect to win the 49ers. So I think you're going to see some things from this Seahawks team, Mike, that we haven't seen all year.
And, I was having that conversation with someone recently, and I can't remember who or when or where, but that weird little hook and lateral play that we saw from the Lions, what the hell was that? Like, do they do that if they're playing for a playoff spot, right? They were playing nothing to lose. And that's the thing, nothing to lose and willing to go for it on 4th down and pull out all the stops and really put the pressure on the other team. We've seen it. We've seen the better team lose these playoff games when we least expect it, and it could be dangerous for the San Francisco 49ers. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.